My name's Edie Reinhardt. My company's RDT Content Marketing. I am a former practicing attorney turned marketer and writer, and I specialize in working with professional service firms, so mostly lawyers, accountants, and financial advisors. Do you want to be the go-to expert in your field? Well, I can help you showcase your expertise, differentiate your brand, and effectively target your marketing to attract more clients. I help clients with content development, websites, social media, and marketing strategy.
So Edie, how did you originally create your customer database from the beginning?
I use Google Workspace, and that's got my emails, and then I also set up all my contacts there. So my contacts include, clients, prospects, referral sources, networking contacts, and so forth. And, I built it slowly over time. I tried to be very conscientious about adding contacts in as soon as possible after I met or spoke to somebody. And I added in not just their contact information, but I put in when and where I met them, what they do for a living, and also anything pertinent that I learned about them whenever I met or spoke to them. And then I also add a label onto their name. I created categories that I thought would be relevant for my purposes for marketing my business. So for example, I do a lot of webinars or obviously used to do live programs for lawyers to help them with their marketing. And I can go into my database and I could pull all the contacts that are labeled as attorney in order to be able to market that webinar to them. And to send out emails, I upload all of my Google contacts into MailChimp. That's my email marketing platform.
So when you say you have a contact information, so is that mostly, name, address, email, phone, that kind of contact information?
Yes. And so whatever I have on them, my website, whatever I got, kind of like the typical stuff you would see on a business card.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. So what are ways that you stay connected to your customers, maybe especially if you've done anything differently during this COVID time versus what you used to do?
I don't know that I've done anything different. I've just been very aware of making sure that I do everything, because sometimes before, you'd kind of forget because you got busy and you were doing so much live networking that you'd maybe let some other things slide. But now, since there isn't, I make sure that every month I'm doing certain things, or every week I'm doing certain things. So for example, as long as I've had my business, I've sent out a monthly email newsletter, and that I share marketing tips. So it's informational, not promotional.
Yes.
And it's a really easy and low cost way to stay top of mind with your contacts.
Okay.
I'm also active on social media. So I'm particularly conscious of making sure that I post several times a week. And again, I'm posting informational content, not promotional stuff. I don't advertise on social media. And then I also try to interact with other people's content. So I will like or comment on or share other people's posts. This is really a good way both to boost your visibility and also build your relationship with your contacts, because they appreciate when you share their stuff. And then I also send private messages through social media because, you get notified about stuff. So maybe I see that it's their birthday, so I'll send a happy birthday. Or maybe I see somebody posted something or they liked one of my posts and it's somebody that I haven't spoken to in a long time. It's an easy excuse to kind of just shoot them a little message and say, hey, how are you? Hope you're doing well, that kind of thing. And then, of course, I'm still networking, although it's by Zoom, that's how everybody's doing it. And you have your phone calls and, you're doing all those kinds of things.
So do you have like a schedule that you use so that some of these things are more automated versus you having to manually do it, or?
I do. So I use a social media scheduling tool, although I don't always use that. So I use something called Hootsuite. Okay. And you can, sometimes I will just sit down and say, okay, let me just schedule a bunch of posts at one time. So then I don't have to think about it. But a lot of times I'm also just separately doing things on my own. Like I get a lot of marketing related email newsletters from other people. And if I see something that I think is worthwhile, then I'll just share it in the moment, not like waiting to sit there and schedule it. So it's kind of a mix of stuff there. You know,
Okay.
the newsletter I kind of have on my schedule because I have to write something for the newsletter. So I try and
Yes.
remind myself, okay, you know, Edie, sit down, write a blog post, put this thing together for the month kind of thing. But there's no way to really automate that process.
Yeah. Okay, great. Just your own little reminders.
Yes.
Thank you.
I
So
use Google Calendar very heavily.
oh, okay. Google Calendar. So MailChimp and Hootsuite. Terrific. How do you maintain your customer database? Like, how do you know when to start to you know, filter out some people, or, you know, do you have a schedule of how you do that so that your email list is fresh and current?
Well, so if I find out that somebody's information has changed, you know, people will send out and say, hey, my job, you know, I moved to a different job or whatever, then on my own, you know, I will just update my Google contacts and I will update MailChimp with the new information. But
Okay.
also, since I am emailing people monthly, in MailChimp, you get a bounce report. So it tells you which emails came back to you.
Okay.
And particularly if emails that come back as a hard bounce, or that there's, you know, like the email address, because a hard bounce usually means that it's an invalid email address.
Okay.
Sometimes also if it's suspended because they've sent it 3 times and each time it's bounced back, you know, it's kind of assumed to be a hard bounce also. So that can tell you, hey, this is coming back and it wasn't before. So probably this person's information changed.
Okay. Okay. So you just manually go in and just make sure that the list is pretty clean so that you can, you know, make sure that they're getting the information correctly.
Right. And now, again, it's important to, if you're sending out bulk emails, you should always use an email marketing platform, because what that does is they'll keep track of opt-outs, because legally you can't be sending an email to somebody that has opted out of it unless you've got like a business relationship with them. So like if they're a current client, you know, you can always send them, you know, client information, but on the promotional side, you've got to make sure that legally you're keeping track of those opt-outs and you're not sending things to people. But also MailChimp then is going to keep track of, like I said, you know, it'll give you a report of who's opened your emails, you know, who clicked on stuff, what are the, you know, the different kinds of bounces that may have occurred, you know, so you get that kind of information from an email marketing platform. And also you don't want to send it from your personal email, because if you're sending large quantities of emails from your personal or your business email address, you may get flagged as a spammer, and then nobody's going to get your emails. I'm dealing with a lot of clients that have specific rules. Lawyers have to have specific ethics rules that govern any kind of promotions that they're doing. Same thing with, I work a lot with financial advisors, the same thing, like all of their stuff has to be compliance approved. So I'm working with people that have there's sort of like the rules that apply to everybody. And then there's the rules that apply to these particular industries because they're heavily regulated. So, you know, I'm familiar with those rules, and I will give general advice, but, you know, I'm not a practicing attorney, so I'm not going to tell you that this is what you should be doing or not doing.
Well, thank you so much, Edie. I really appreciate you taking this time for us to chat a little bit about how you connect with your customers.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.